mantras of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says, remember why you came. Find out thy soul, recover thy hidden self. In silence seek God's meanings in thy depths, then mortal nature change to the divine. With my love and blessings, says our Divine Mother. Words of Our Lord Sri Aurobindo, taken from the collective works of Our Lord Sri Aurobindo, Evening Talks with Sri Aurobindo by Sri Purani. Topic Sadhana. Date 9/4/1923, page 69. Question. Can one practice the supramental integral yoga while remaining in the ordinary life? For this, our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, it is true that the supramental integral yoga accepts life, but that doesn't mean life as it is at present, because the supramental wants perfection, and at present life is not perfect. Many fields of life are at present dominated by ignorance. We want to change the whole mold of life. We want to gain the supramental state in human evolution as the next higher step from the mind. Now that there are signs of it coming, we must try to bring it down into the physical being. It is comparatively easy to ascend to the supermind, but then those who go up generally go away from life. Humanity is the only field of manifestation, and all gains must be brought to that plane, that is, to the plane of the ordinary consciousness. In order to do that, the truth and nothing else must be demanded. Otherwise, one gets something mental, emotional, or vital and is very satisfied with it. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, till now, humanity has only got glimpses of the truth, but not the truth itself. Every spiritual movement has tended to the same and has helped the realization of it to a certain extent. The Vaishnavite religion wants to bring the truth into the vital and the aesthetic being, but it remains satisfied with that. The Vaishnavites included or indulged themselves, you may say spiritually. The austerity of the effort was also lost. The Vedic rishis had the conceptions of the truth, but under those conditions, it could not be brought down for humanity. The Upanishads has got the idea, but it is only a statement of it, and there is no idea of bringing down the truth. Mainly theirs is the working of the intuitive mentality. Then came the intellectual philosophies, which were only intellectuals, and followed by Puranas. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, if the supramental is to be brought to the physical, then it might tend to endure, because matter, though limited, is the only thing certain on this plane. If a number of men can reach this condition, then in the course of time it may become a permanent force in mankind. It would certainly bring new forces into the course of time. It may become a permanent force in the mankind. It would certainly bring new forces into play in the universe and change the present balance of universal forces. There may be many things beyond the supermind, but they cannot operate in this manifestation except through the supermind. Therefore, it must be made a permanent part of humanity. Next date 13/4/1923. The disciple says, yesterday we had a talk about Sri Leleji and his Guru Bhai, a co-disciple Narayan Swami, and I told you that I came to know that they follow, I do not know how far it is true though, the Dattatreya Yoga. I wonder what that yoga is like. For this, Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, I was thinking about it after the talk. You know, there is perhaps a traditional method of yoga in Maharashtra which belongs to the Dattatreya cult. The truth behind is that Dattatreya represents the highest realization. He always keeps his
bowed his head in scornful cold assent, uplifting his disastrous voice, he spoke. I yield to his blind father's longing heart, kingdom and power and friend and greatness, Lord, and royal draping to his peaceful reign. The pallid pomps of man's declining days, the silver decadent glories of life's fall.
The disciple questions, Lele gave you the integral yoga. For this, Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, I did not begin with Lele. I first began on my own with pranayama, drawing the breath into my head. This gave me good health, lightness, and increased power of thinking. Side by side, certain experiences also came, but not many, not important ones. I began to see things in the subtle. Then I had to give it up when I took to politics. I wanted to resume my yoga, but I did not know how to begin again. I wanted spiritual experience and political action together. I would not take up a method that required me to give up action and life. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, when I came to Baroda from the Surat Congress, Baron had written to me that he knew a certain yogi to whom he would introduce me at Baroda. Baron sent a wire to Lele from Baroda and he came. At that time, I was staying at Kasirao Jadav's house. We went to Sardar Majumdar's place. On the top floor, in a room, we were shut up for 3 days. He asked me to do nothing but throw away all the thoughts that came to my mind. In 3 days, I did that. We sat in meditation together. I realized the silent Brahman consciousness. I began to think from above the brain and have done so ever since. Sometimes at night the power would come and I would receive it, also the thoughts it brought, and in the morning I would put down the whole thing word by word on a paper. In that very silence, in that thought-free condition, we went to Bombay. There I had to give a lecture at the National Union, so I asked him what I should do. He asked me to pray, but I was absorbed in the silent Brahman, so I told him that I was in no mood to pray. Then he said he and some others would pray, and I would simply go to the meeting and make namaskar, a bow to the audience as Narayana, the all-pervading divine. And then a voice would speak through me. I did exactly as he told me. On the way to the meeting, somebody gave me a paper to read. There were some headlines there which caught my eye and left an impression. When I rose to address the meeting, the idea flashed across my mind, and then all of a sudden something spoke out. That was my second experience from Lele. It also shows that he had the power to give yogic experience to others. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, when I was in Bombay, from the balcony of a friend's house, I saw the whole busy movements of Bombay city as a picture in a cinema show, all unreal, shadowy. That was a Vedantic experience. Ever since, I have maintained that peace of mind, never losing it even in the midst of difficulties. All the speeches that I delivered on my way to Calcutta from Bombay were of the same nature, with some mixture of mental work in some parts. Before parting, I told Lele, now that we shall not be together, I should like you to give me instructions about sadhana. In the meantime, I told him of a mantra that had arisen in my heart. He was giving me instructions when he suddenly stopped and asked me if I could rely absolutely on him who had given me the mantra. I said I could always do it. Then Lele said there was no need of any other instructions. We had then no talk till we reached our destination. Some months later, he came to Calcutta. He asked me if I meditated in the morning and in the evening. I said no. Then he thought some devil had taken possession of me, and then he began to give me instructions. I did not insult him, but I could not act upon his advice. I received the command from within that a human guru was not necessary for me. As to dhyana, meditation, I was not prepared to tell him that I was practically meditating the whole day.
The disdainful shape. Word spirit, I was the equal spirit born. I am immortal in my mortality. I tremble not before the immobile gaze of the unchanging marble Hafiz that look with stone eyes of law and faith. My soul can meet them with its living fire, wherever thou leadst him, soul, I shall pursue.
Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, all that I wrote in the Bande Matram and in the Karma Yogin was from that state. I have since trusted the inner guidance, even when I thought it was leading me to astray. The Arya and the subsequent writings did not come from the brain. It was, of course, the same power working. Now I do not use that method. I developed it to perfection and then abandoned it, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo continues to say, on 29th May 1923 to a disciple, our Lord says, really speaking, two things matter. One, the spirit that is dynamic, above, and the other, the life here, which is a field of expression of the spirit. Mind, emotion, and other psychological activities are only intermediate terms. Mind is more or less a channel, so is the heart. The body is merely the mold. Two things are necessary in this integral yoga: balance and a strong hold on the earth. By balance, I mean the different parts of the being adjusted to one another, or some steadiness, a quiet poise somewhere in the man, not an unsteady inner condition. A strong mental being is also very necessary. Otherwise, when the experiences come, the man turns upside down. In India, our mental development, I mean the outer mind's development, is not at all proportionate. There is the psychic being ready in many cases. There is the aspiration for spiritual life and faith also. But mind, questions for reason, intelligence, the dynamic mind are very crude. That is why I hesitate sometimes to give the yoga. In Europe and other parts are very well developed reason, expression, dynamic mind, etc. But then there the whole thing ends. There is a great poverty in the inner being. Some of the Europeans are rarely babies in spiritual life. To combine the inner development with the outer would be ideal. Science, for instance, studies, reasons, and gives a firm grounding to the physical mind. Art, I mean appreciation of beauty, pure and simple, without essential grasping at the object, trains up the ascetic side of the mind. The true artist has always the pure love of beauty, free and impersonal. Philosophy cultivates the pure thinking power, and politics and such other departments of mental work train up the dynamic mind. All these should be duly trained with the full knowledge that they have their limited utility. Philosophy tends to become mere mental gymnastics and preference for one's own ideas and mental constructions. So also is reason becomes the tyrant and denies anything further. But if the training is given to these paths with an understanding of their limitations, then they may serve very usefully the object of this yoga. As I said, they must all admit a higher working in them. A disciple related the yogic experience of a student for this. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, "It is no use hurrying about psychic experience and realizations. One must prepare the physical mind, the intelligence by common knowledge as well as knowledge pertaining to yoga. One must understand what comes to him. Sometimes one does not even know what has come to him. One must also pay attention to Shuddhi, purification, by introspection, by Karma Yoga, and by Bhakti and devotion. Then a step forward can be taken." The question was about the Guru giving spiritual experiences to the disciples. For this, our Lord Sri Aurobindo says it only means that the readiness was already there and the Guru help removes the obstacle and the natural development comes about. But no one can permanently change the consciousness. The disciple says the difficulty with other people is that they seek the easy path and are easily satisfied. They do not want to face an uphill task. For this, our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, in the first place, they get easily satisfied. And the permanent change of consciousness is the one thing important. And our people do not want to take pain. Moreover, integral yoga is regarded as a realm of the miraculous. Another thing is that they do not want to be harsh to themselves. They want the satisfaction of a feeling, I am all right. X got this experience, the vision of the Golden Mother over the head, and then the descent of a greater calm. Then the next thing was to purify the whole being so that the experience might remain, but he could not do it, so he lost it. He got the experience and thought he had done everything he could have asked. What, after all, is this experience? What next? These people get all sorts of experience, but when the question of permanent change of consciousness comes, they are not able to take a firm step, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo.
Hast thou got wings or feet that tread my star? Frail creature with the courage that aspires, forgetting thy bounds of thought, thy mortal hold, I will take from thee the black eternal grace, clasping in thy heart thy face extinguished, depart in peace, if peace for man is just.